Blues, Eric Bledsoe with the two-hand jam.
Giannis straight down the lane and a foul.
All right, John, let's go back to the beginning of the offseason. After the season, I was thinking about what was coming, and I thought, okay, it could be smooth to bumpy, hoping for smooth, and it actually turned out pretty smooth in free agency. What were your thoughts going into that?
Yeah, Jim, I think, hopefully the appearance is smooth because you take a lot of time in preparation and strategy and studying and communication. We think that over the course of the last 2 years, we put in plan a place where we could try to keep the most of this team together and kind of continue and have continuity and have the success that we had last year and build on it. For us to be able to do that, to get everyone back, with the exception of Malcolm, which I'm sure we'll talk about at some point here, was really good for us. I think a home run would have had everyone coming back and doing it in a way where we thought we had flexibility and options to move forward. I think we got a solid triple that could end up becoming a home run depending on how some of the other new additions work out. Just because we were able to keep the core of our team together, we were able to add to our flexibility with some draft picks, add to our flexibility with some financial freedom throughout this season and going forward, and add some really good new additions, which I'm sure we'll talk about here shortly as well.
When you have unrestricted free agents, I always leave a little bit of room because you never know quite what's going to happen. Do you have to approach it that way, or were you going in confident that you were going to keep everybody you needed to keep?
I think confident because the season that we had, the culture that we've developed, style of play that we have, the relationship that we have within our locker room, our guys like each other. So we're confident that our guys wanted to be back, but it is free agency. And I've said that a number of times before, just because we're able to bring back Chris and Brooke and George doesn't mean that was easy. They were still free agents. Every team in the league had a chance to sign those guys, to recruit those guys, to go after them. It's a credit to those guys. It's a credit to them wanting to see this through, believing in something that's bigger than them, wanting to contribute to a team that can win a championship. And I think they all saw that opportunity last year, and they feel that there's an opportunity to do that with us for a long time going forward. That's why they committed long term with us. It says a lot about Giannis and what he does. Players want to play with him. Players want to play for Coach Bud. Internally, our organization, I think the things that we've done here with resources, facility-wise, resources, and the ways that we treat our players and their families, I think every day we try to recruit from within, and that's at every facet. To get players like Chris Middleton, Brooke Lopez, and George Hill, who had significant markets in free agency from other really good teams and other really good situations, to get them to come back and to sign to Milwaukee and do it quickly so that we could continue to work on our other business and really build the best team that we could, I think says a lot.
All right, let's get to Malcolm Brogdon. How difficult was that? What went into it? It became a sign and trade, which caught my eye a little bit. I thought that was advantageous without knowing the details. What took place with that transaction?
I think for starters, we wanted Malcolm to be a Milwaukee Buck. I'd be lying if I didn't say that was the case. And so you work hard with their agents, you work hard with the player in trying to figure out a solution to have the player continue to be on your team. Malcolm was restricted, so ultimately that was in our control. Ultimately we could have had Malcolm no matter what. I think as things progress and you understand how your team's evolving, other signings that we're able to kind of move toward and think that we're going to be able to do, what we ultimately determined is there was an opportunity where we could get a best outcome for Malcolm and a best outcome for the Milwaukee Bucks. And I'm thankful for the partnership of David Falk and Danielle Cantor and Malcolm Brogdon to work closely with them to figure out a solution where they were happy and where the Milwaukee Bucks were able to continue to build a team that could continue to compete for a championship and have some extra assets for us to continue to add this team and build this team toward championship contention. And so I really think at the end of the day it was kind of a best case scenario for both parties based on the circumstances that existed. And there's a number of circumstances that existed, some we can talk about, some that we can't. But at the end of the day, I think we feel great about where we landed, and I know Malcolm's happy where he's at as well.
When the season ended, I asked myself, what can you do to be better? I happen to think that this team may have gotten better. How do you feel?
Yeah, so I think we're better. And I want to be very clear, I don't think that that's specific to Malcolm Brogdon.
Correct.
And so I think we would have been better had Malcolm Brogdon still been a Milwaukee Buck, and I think we can be better even though Malcolm Brogdon is not a Milwaukee Buck. I think we're going to improve because our MVP is a year older. He's developed another year. He's becoming a better shooter. I think we're better because we have an entire year under our belts in Coach Budenholzer's system, and I think our guys are going to be even more acclimated and more comfortable in the offensive system and the defensive system. So I think we were number 1 in defense and number 6 in offense, or 5 in offense last year. Something like that. I think we'll be even better in those areas. And I think the additions that we made, obviously intentional, and I think they fit. Kyle Korver and Robin Lopez and Thanasis Antetokounmpo and Wesley Matthews, those guys, even go to Brogdon Bender, who's a young development big for us. Those guys all fit the style of play that we have. These guys can shoot, they have great positional size, they're tough, they're smart, and they're good people. And if you start watching our team early in the season, you're going to see a healthy Dante DiVincenzo, who's a really good player, and he's going to help us. We didn't get a lot of minutes out of Dante last year, and he's going to help us this year. So, kind of independent of Malcolm Brogdon, I think the Milwaukee Bucks are a better team this year for those reasons and more.
Let's talk about the newcomers individually. Robin Lopez, when Al Horford went to Philadelphia, all of a sudden, Robin Lopez, I know he was on your radar, but then you bring him in. Was that quid pro quo there? How did that all play out? Because it happened rather quickly, I thought, after the Horford move, looking from the outside.
Yeah, in fairness to your question, I think there was over $3 billion in free agency spent in about 18 hours. So I think it all happened quickly.
It all happened quickly, yeah. Fair point.
I think honestly had no impact. I think the result of it will be advantageous for us because I could see Philadelphia playing big lineups. I could see them playing Horford and Embiid together, and we have ways to kind of combat that if we want, or obviously we can go small in different ways. I think we have a lot of flexibility and versatility in our roster.
So Robin was on the radar?
Robin was on the radar before any of that.
Okay.
And really even last season was a guy that we talked about in trade scenarios and a guy that we talked about in buyout market, just different things that we've looked at with Robin that I think he fits us because we had the #1 defense in the NBA when Brook was on the floor. And when we took Brook off the floor, I think we dropped to second or third or fourth. Robin allows us defensively to play the exact same way when Brook comes out of the game, which is a huge opportunity for us. Offensively, we really believe there's upside there as a shooter, and it sounds funny to say because we thought that with Brook, and we were right. And I think the same thing with Robin. I think that you're going to see him take and make threes in a way that he's never done before in his career this year for us. And that's part of scouting. We've watched him, we've studied him from an analytics perspective. He can shoot the corner three, he's a great free throw shooter, which are both indicators of guys that can make threes. The one thing with Bud is that he's not afraid to try things differently and be creative. I wouldn't not be surprised at all to see a lineup, quite honestly, with Robin and Brook and Giannis and Chris and Eric. We have versatility to play anyway. And really, I think the best teams in the NBA can do that. They can beat you at your game or beat you with their game, and I think Robin is a key factor in that.
Kind of a unique situation. Who's going to manage the sibling rivalries that are certain to pop out this year? I mean, the Lopez brothers, they go at each other, and Thanasis and Giannis have their relationship. This will be different, won't it?
Yeah, I mean, that's all coaching, so I'm glad that we're talking that. Yeah, that's Bud's responsibility. It was my job to get him on the team.
Be fun to watch, though, for all of us.
Yeah, there's no doubt. So Darren Matsubara, who's a great friend and a really good agent in our business, is the agent for Robin Lopez and Brook Lopez. And so as we're going through this and I'm talking to him, I said, so Mats, you have to tell me, help me understand the dynamic of them playing together. Mats just said, they will fight. And I said, you mean like they're going to fight other teammates? He's like, no, they'll never fight other teammates. They're going to fight each other. Just so you know, they're going to fight each other and you have to break them up. I'm like, well, I'm not going to break them up. They're 7 foot tall. So I'm sure Darvin Ham and Ben Sullivan and coach, they'll figure that out. But those guys are really excited to play with each other. There's a novelty to it, of course. There's a great storyline. At the end of the day, it was the best basketball decision that we could have made to add Robin Lopez to give us depth at the center position, and we're grateful that we got him.
Crowder saves it for Korver. You know what's happening when he has it.
Late game threes, you have two guys coming in, Wes Matthews and Kyle Korver. I mean, if they combine for 3 threes in a game, that's going to be huge for this team, isn't it?
Yeah, those guys, they fit because they have a high willingness to take shots and a great ability to make shots. Bud says it best about both of them. When Kyle Korver's in the game, you have to guard him. Whether or not he makes a shot is somewhat irrelevant. You have to have a defender playing next to him. So if the defender's playing right next to Kyle Korver, now we're playing 4-on-4. And I'll take our chances with Eric Bledsoe and Chris Middleton and Giannis Antetokounmpo in 4-on-4 basketball. The same is true with Wes Matthews, and those guys just give us great space, great IQ, great toughness. We're glad to have them.
Wesley Matthews for 3 with Giannis right there.
Thanasis Antetokounmpo, Brogdon Bender, what roles might they play on this team?
Yeah, I think any good team that wants to build and sustain winning over a long period of time, like we've talked about a number of times, has to have a level of depth and development to their franchise. Thanasis and Brogdon and DJ Wilson and Sterling Brown and Dante DiVincenzo, those guys are great young depth and development on our roster. And I even throw Pat Connaughton in there. These are guys that have upside as players. They have an athletic skill set that fits in the NBA. They have an IQ, they have toughness, and they work their tails off. And that's why we added Thanasis. That's why we added Brogdon. Brogdon was I believe, the 4th pick in the draft. He's a guy that I feel like we're getting right place, right time, and he's going to plug in with our medical and performance staff. He's going to plug in with our coaching staff, and I think he's going to get better, and he's going to have a real opportunity to contribute to the Bucks this year or next year. We signed him on a 2-year contract. Thanasis is the same thing. Thanasis as a wing player instead of a big, but a young guy who's got a little bit of NBA experience, is a phenomenal athlete. We believe that you put him with our coaches and you develop his shooting and develop his skill set, that we have a chance to have a real good find there as an NBA player as well. And so those guys fit right in with our young, kind of developing core.
There was a Sunday in mid-July when we were all on the plaza outside Fiserv Forum, one of the greatest moments really in my 33 years with the Bucks. When Giannis accepted the MVP trophy for the fans in Milwaukee. What do you remember about that day? That was phenomenal, wasn't it?
Yeah, I would say similar to you, one of the best moments in my life, for sure the best professional moment in my life. To just kind of witness that, watch it unfold, watch his excitement and his genuine, sincere connection with the fans, connection with the city. Really special moment for Giannis to do it here in Milwaukee, a place that he calls home, and a place that he loves like home. The 2 things that stood out most is when he and his brothers kind of did this selfie video.
Let's go, let's do it, let's do it!
He genuinely was excited to do that, and something he'll have forever. And then watching the tribute video that was put together for him, teammates and staff members and family and friends and just everyone that kind of have shared in this journey with him, having a chance to kind of thank him and congratulate him, and having him watch that and be emotional watching it was a really kind of special moment also.
Hey, let's go get the big trophy now.
For him to say, like, we'll be back here again, I think we all believe that. And next year, hopefully soon, we'll have another trophy besides the MVP trophy that'll make it even more special.
20,000 fans, John. You and I have been here long enough to understand how that translates to a home court advantage. This is the greatest home court advantage that I recall seeing in my time.
Fiserv Forum was on fire in the playoffs, and I think it's kind of here to stay. And not I think, I know it's here to stay. We have an unbelievable fan base, we have an unbelievable product, and it's partially my job and Coach Budenholzer's and Peter Feg and our ownership group to keep that. We have an unbelievable opportunity here in Milwaukee to build and sustain success over a long period of time and do something special, and I think we've got the right place to do it and the right fan base to do it with.
You just came from China in the FIBA World Cup. 1/3 of your roster is taking part in the FIBA World Cup. How does all of that playing out as you evaluate the guys taking part in the World Cup?
Yeah, first and foremost, to have 5 players, and really with Pat being 6, participate in the event this summer is another moment of pride, I think, for the organization, for me, personal pride, and for those guys, something that I know they're all very proud of to represent their countries. Ersan played extremely well in the tournament. You talked about Chris and Brooke, who played really great for Team USA. And to have Giannis and Thanasis, both play extremely well for Greece, who finished 3-2 in the tournament. It's really a proud moment for the organization to have these guys participating. We're thankful that they've all played well and remained healthy, which is always a big fear and a risk with all of this. Turkey and Greece in particular, to qualify for the Olympics, are going to have to play another exhibition or another tournament series in early July, I think it is. And so hopefully, we're playing late into June, then to go back and try to qualify for Olympics in July, and then to play in the Olympics if you do qualify. I do think it's something that we're always thinking about, something we're always talking about. We want these guys to have this opportunity. We want to support them, and we have supported them. We have to be incredibly careful and detailed about what their performance is, what their preparation is, what their health is going into these and coming out of these things, because there is a lot of basketball being played in consecutive months, basically consecutive days. And so it's a fear, it's a risk, it's something that we, I think, spend a lot of time on talking and working with, and we're always going to try to advocate for them, support them, but we have to be careful also.
Here's a steal by Giannis. He's ahead of the field. Winds up, slams it.
When you think about ultimate success, but things are in pretty good shape. What's your best hope for the coming season?
So we said last year around this time, I truly believe in continuous improvement. And I think if we continue to get better, we continue to add, continue to position ourselves to contend for championships and compete for championships, that we're going to break through. I think we have the best player in the world. We have the best coach in the world. We have an unbelievable supporting cast, an unbelievable fan base, and a great ownership group that resources us in every way. Doesn't matter where we're at the end of the day, I truly believe that we're going to win an NBA championship. the next step on that progression is to get to an NBA Finals. You know, unfortunately, we fell short last year, and I really believe that we should have played in the NBA Finals. And had we played in the NBA Finals, I think we could have won a championship.
Last season pointed out to me again how fragile getting to the finals and winning a championship can be. 10-1 in the playoffs, up 2-0. I thought the Bucks would be very difficult to beat 4 times. I never, ever considered that they could lose 4 straight games. What is the ultimate lesson that came out of that experience?
First of all, I think the lesson is different for everyone, and it has to be. Everyone has a different experience in those circumstances. You know, for me, the ultimate lesson is a little bit of what you just said, like how quickly it can happen. It's really hard to say that we have to change a whole lot, and it's also probably not smart to say that we don't have to change anything. And I think you can see that by our offseason. I think we were trying to be intentional, figure out where do we fall short, what are the areas that we need to improve on. You talk about losing 4 straight games, which is what happened. I believe the truth is, and history would prove it, that what happened is we actually probably lost 4 or 5 straight possessions that cost us the series. So had we gone up 3-0 in the series in Toronto.
That was in game 3?
Yeah.
In the double overtime
we lose
game.
the double over. Had we went up 3-0, we go to the NBA Finals. History will tell you that, right? No one's come back.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and so you can talk about 4 games. You want to talk about focus, it's really 4 possessions. There's 4 possessions in a double overtime game that any one of them go in our favor. We win the game in single overtime or in double overtime, and I believe we're in the NBA Finals. So those are all things that, you know, we reflect on, that we talk in our groups, and some of that's personnel driven, some of that's player development, some of that's experience, some of that's coaching. We all have our role and our responsibilities in it, and we'll all get better, and because of that, I think we'll have a better chance next year than we did last year.